अथ योगानुशासनम. As we were discussing, remember, whenever we look at a text, always we say Anubandha Chatushtayam has to be there. So there are fourfold things has to be there whenever we look at the text. So the first one is called Vishaya, the subject matter. Second one is called Prayojana, necessity. What for? In short, we say Prayojana vina mandopina pravartate, without any benefit, without seeing something better, even if a dull person will not move. So this is a Prayojana here, means what I am going to get. So what is the purpose? Then comes Adhikari. So who is the qualified person? And finally Sambandha. So what is the relationship between what I study and what I am going to get? If these four things are not being fulfilled, definitely we are not going to look at that text or Shastra. So when we look at this very carefully, so this also very carefully also being highlighted. Now first we need to look at, so what is here Vishaya? So Vishaya here is yoga. That's why Atha, straight I says Atha Yoganushashanam. So being yoga, now question comes that why this yoga is being taught and what is yoga here? So here it says, look, when we talk about yoga, we'll be seeing in details. This is also sadhana, the means. This is also phalam, the result. So what we say is very nicely that here is being established both yoga word as means also as the result, the end, the goal. That's why the Vishaya, the subject matter is yoga. Now question comes, so what is Prayojana? So really what we need to get? So when it talks about Prayojana, we have to see very carefully. So here also in fact the second verse itself will talk. In fact first sutra itself talks Atha Yoganushashanam. So when it talks about Atha Yoganushashanam, what is that yoga? So this yoga generally if you look at, so one is called yajur, used to unite. Another is yujir, samadhu. So we need to look at play with the words very carefully. To unite is called yoga. This root comes. That's why most of the translation comes union. So uniting Jiva, Atma, Paratma. You understand? Or body, mind, soul, all this union, re-engineering, reunioning, you understand? All this because people are tired of everything, so okay? However, when this yoga which is being taught, we take, especially Vyasacharya has taken Samadhu, that will be seen in details. That is called yoga, that which leads or that which is samadhi. That's why two types of samadhi is being taught. One is sampragyata samadhi, other one is asampragyata samadhi, which we will be seeing today little bit. Now, this prayojana is something we say by this Yoga Shastra. Now, studying this Yoga Shastra, the person is aiming at called Nishreyas, called Moksha, called Nirvana, or you can say Atmastiti, abiding in one's own self. Or if you want to religiously talk, Paramatma Prapti, gaining the Paramatma. So this becomes the Prayojana. And of course, who is Adhikari? So who is the eligible person? So this eligible person is being highlighted very carefully. The one who is interested to know this Yoga Shastra. A Jigyasu. And who is a Jigyasu? Jigyasu has to be a Mumukshu Sadhaka. So here, when we talk about this Adhikari, little bit different. A Jigyasu presupposes, Jigyasu means the one who is desirous to know that I want liberation, or the one who is desirous of knowing one's own self. That person has to be a Mumukshu. Mumukshu means the one who is desirous of liberation, and also that person has to be a sadhaka. Because if the person is not willing to put effort, is not interested to really take up anything, but wants to be a jigyasu, it is not going to work. That we call as hallucination. We'll be seeing in details, don't worry, okay? Everything is being talked very carefully, systematically in one sutra, okay? Then the last one we call sambandha. So when you look at this sambandha, relationship, like when we look at any relationship, we say padya pratipadaka sambandha, or we can say, look, prapya prapaka sambandha. Sometimes we use the word here, kartu kartabya sambandha. You can use any word, all are applicable, all three are useful here. Because here is what? Adhikari, an eligible person, prayojanam is to abide within one's own self. Now, when the person wants to abide within one's own self, so that means to be gained, that is to be established, prapya or kartavyam. Now, how it can be done? How it can be revealed? Through the scripture. So that's why the pratipadaka pratipadya sambandha, kartu kartabya sambandha, prapya prapaka sambandha. So that's why here we say that if the prayojanam or the atmasiti is called pratipadya, that is to be established. Now the Shastra becomes a pratipadaka, that only establishes, that which establishes. Now, when you look at this very carefully, we have already discussed, if these four are there, why an adhikari, in English an adhikari automatically goes, adhikari must have this not only a jigyasu but mumukshu sadhaka. So while talking this, in the last class we brought up this topic very carefully, that the mind has 5 stages. So when we spoke that mind has got 5 stages, or you can say mind goes through 5 stages, or it has also, no problem. So one we spoke called Kshiptam, second one Mudham, third one Vikshiptam, fourth one Ekagram, and the last one was called Niruddham. And how it happens, because I don't want to confuse you people, okay? I want to make it as simple as possible. I'm trying my best. It is only the combination of Sattva, Raja, Tamoguna. That's why I'm making it as simple as possible. So, okay, how to look at this? He says beautifully, if you look at English translation as such, Kshipta. So, Kshipta means the mind keeps wandering. Rajasa Visheshu Eva Vrittimat. So that means because of Rajoguna predominance, now the Chitta, the mind, keeps wandering, keeps jumping from one object to another object. So you can say very carefully, in this Kshiptam Avastha, for your understanding sake, Rajas is a predominant. Secondly is Tamas, and God knows where is Sattva. Okay, is it clear? It's a very simple way of looking at. Now, the second type of mind is called Mudham. So, Mudham, generally you know, delusion. Here we say forgetfulness. Because a dead person always forgets, because absent-minded, okay? Not professors, okay? Please remember, okay? So, how? He says beautifully, Tamasa Nidradi Vrittimat. So that means, in short, to understand that because Tamas is predominant, there Rajas was predominant, Tamas was secondary, and God knows where was Sattva. Now here, Tamas becomes predominant. And somewhere Rajas is there, little bit, okay? Forget about Sattva. So that stage is called as Mudham. So there what generally happens, in this stage, person is always lazy, lethargy, tired, complains, doesn't feel like doing anything, you understand? So that's why you can map yourself, which stage is your mind when, okay? This is the homework, okay? Please. This is the main purpose of Yoga Sutra, nothing else. Because I am not here to talk academically. So, that is called Mudham Avastha. Now, there is something, third one is called Vikshiptam. So, Vikshiptam he highlights. So vikshiptam is something. Kshiptat vishishtam vikshiptam iti. So that means what happens here? That this vikshipta avastha definitely is better than the first kshiptam avastha, the wandering avastha. Why? Because here sattva guna comes in. Sattvadhikena samadhada api chittam rajomatraya antara antara visayantara vrittimat. So here what happens? Here sattva guna becomes predominant. Seconding rajoguna and tamoguna is last. Now because of this fluctuation of sattva and raja, sometimes mind is very nice, one-pointedness. Mind is able to focus, and some other time mind is not able to. So that is the third stage of mind. And remember, so this particular stage or this sort of mind only can be a adhikari, not other two, okay? So the adhikaritvam starts from here. Unless the person comes to this stage or predominantly in a day, if the mind is not abiding in this stage, that person is not considered as an adhikari, a qualified person for yoga. So we have to be very clear. Then the fourth stage is called ekagram. So generally we look at it, translate ekagram means one pointed. So the person is able to focus on, dwell upon one thing at a time or one subject matter continuously. Both way you can take it, absolute no problem. Either you look at, that's why in yoga practices we have trataka. So these are the things to be practiced, okay? Trataka. Like keeping the, not candle, okay, lamp. Looking at. Doesn't matter, little bit tears comes down, okay? Little bit, not really it will come down, don't worry. At least it helps. Instead of crying for some other thing, at least cry for this sake, okay? It's necessary, really amazing. So here, when you talk about ekagram, we say here, ekasmin eva visaye agram sikham yasya. So that means, in short, in vikshipta bhumi, in vikshipta avastha, there was sattva, also was raja, and somewhere was tamas, correct? But here, Vishuddha Sattva. Sattva is really very much predominant. Namesake Rajas is there. So we say, to be very honest, mainly here is Sattva Guna. And because this is mainly Sattva Guna, then definitely here mind is able to focus on, mind is able to dwell upon a given object or given subject. That's why this Trataka helps a lot in this regard. That's why all these purification stages we should look at. That's why this Gheranda Samhita becomes helpful here. Okay. link I am giving it, okay? Maybe sometimes we should see Garanda Samhita indirectly, I am trying to say. Now, when we look at this thing, then what is Niruddham? That is what is talking about yoga. So, Niruddham is something that where says beautifully, Niruddham cha Niruddha sakala vrittikam sanskara matra sesam ityartha. Generally, Niruddha means completely restrained, which next sutra will be talking. Yoga Chitta Vruti Nirodha. So that Niruddham is being talked here. So what does this Niruddha mean? Because we look at cessation of the mind is called yoga. This is the general translation. Removing all thoughts is called yoga. So whole life you keep removing. I remember there is a beautiful Swami, luckily really exposed. Very common, let us say, not known, not common, not known Swamijis, but they are super. Because whatever I learned these few things in my childhood from them. One of the example is a very typical example of a village, which I was shocked and surprised. Being Orissa, he said, look, in a small water body, if you keep draining water from one place to another place, whichever method you use, you will discover at least a small fish. Of course, the water body has to touch the ground, okay, not in a vessel, okay. Don't, oh, I can put a bathtub or some other thing, plastic things, how it is possible, let me see. No, it has to touch the ground, okay. That is what water body we mean. Not modern days, don't misunderstand. And again he said, look, after one day you leave it, or 2 days you leave it, you monitor very carefully. Again you transfer the water from there to other place, you will discover at least one small fish minimum you will get it. In fact, you may believe it or not, I have tried. Like we say, present modern days, example is, the cloth that you wash, or best example would be your socks. Any number of time you wash your socks, don't worry, some dirt will be there. Definitely, okay? There is no doubt in it. Till the socks is torn, you throw it out. You understand? Keep washing until it becomes torn. So also the mind. So this mind always either sattva predominant, or rajas predominant, or tamas predominant. So this is the combination of these three. Now Niruddham is a stage where even if the sattva does not exist, both sattva, raja, tamas, all the things suggests. That's why there completely mind is free from all gunas except some samskaras that remains in the seed format. And that is what is meant called Nirodha. So Nirodha does not mean removing the thoughts. But here, that's why Niruddham or Nirodha means growing beyond this sattva, raja and tamas aspect. Can you see this point? Because when sattva is there, like somebody said, look, I am a donor, please don't tell that I am a donor. Somebody donates and says that, look, there are different type of donor, okay? Like in North India, they donate fans, okay? Because I have seen in one place. So I saw beautiful fan, but not moving. In fact, one blade is not there. So I asked why? No, from the beginning itself. I said, why? Because on the fan, the name is written, person's name. If the fan moves, so name will not be visible. That's why, especially in North India, you can see, anything happens, first the name plate has to be fixed. You understand? Any temple, anywhere you go, steps full of names. Another tragedy. So, this is one aspect. No. Another aspect says, look, I don't want to be called a donor. Definitely this person is better than the previous one. Definitely, no doubt in it. But the person insists so much, I don't want. That is also not healthy either. You understand the point what I am trying to say? Because a donor means giving and forgetting. Not remembering that really I am a donor. Yeah, what is this going on here? You understand? Like how that is, same thing here also. The sattva guna can come up and say, look, I am a sattvic. Oh, my mind is very nice. My mind is very good. Then suddenly the badness comes in. Can you see this point? In fact, the moment you say good, that's what they say in Christianity, that means devil is talking, okay? Really devil talks or not, they inject the devil there, okay? So that's why by default you should not talk about anything good about you. That means you are a perfect donkey. You understand? However, here when it talks about these 5 stages, now yoga is all about this Nirodha. That's why we bring this yoga when it says Atha Yoganushashanam, Yogasya Anushasanam iti. Now this UG Samadhu it brings. Now question may arise here. You say yoga means here Samadhi. But later on, whatever I have heard, that Samadhi is a limb, is an anga of yoga. Yama, niyama, asana, pranayama. Finally comes a Samadhi. So there Samadhi becomes anga, anga, angi, bhava. This is the relationship. So yoga being the angi, and it has got anga, a limb called Samadhi. So now how can you say that yoga is like angi becomes anga? Can you see this point? It is not acceptable. That's why we bring 2 types of Samadhi. So one is called Sampragyata Samadhi, other one is called Asampragyata Samadhi. Can you see this point? Which we'll be seeing in details as time comes. So when here talks about yoga means Samadhi, so it highlights or it talks about Asampragyata Samadhi. And that is what is being talked here as Nirodha. So if the mind can go through these 5 stages, now that's why we need to see Atha Yogasya Anushasanam. Even though we have seen, so Anushasanam, because it has to be taught in keeping with. Why he used the word Anushasanam, in keeping with? Because we have a lot of verses on this thing. I don't want to bore you people. As I was going through, in fact, it's very interesting if we try to understand that when we say that the Shastrakara here talks very or says very clearly that yoga is not written by him. Hiranyagarbha yogasya vakta na anya puratana. In fact, Hiranyagarbha becomes the teacher or the author or the speaker of this Yoga Shastra. In fact, we have a lot of descriptions regarding this, because I was really looking at many books. Now I am confused which one where I get, okay? In fact, very nicely regarding Hiranyagarbha, we have almost many, like almost 20-30 verses. How and where Hiranyagarbha is being highlighted as that yogasya bhaktaha prathamaha bhaktaha iti. So to make it very clear, we have to understand this, that if Hiranyagarbha becomes that prathama bhaktaha, that's why we can see in one place it is being said also nicely. Sanksyasya bhakta in Mahabharata is being said. Sanksyasya bhakta Kapilaha, who writes? Vyasacharya writes. So Sanksyasya bhakta Kapilaha Paramarshi Sauchyate Hiranyagarbho Yogasya bhakta Nanyah Puratanaha. So the Sankhya philosophy was being introduced by Kapila Maharshi, whereas for yoga, Hiranyagarbha. So now question may arise, because there are many verses here and there we'll look at as Hiranyagarbha. That's why it talks about how yoga was ancient. Yoga is not being created by anybody. And also we cannot by default or by ignorance, we cannot say that, oh, Patanjali is the father of yoga, because this is another nuisance, okay? Because Patanjali has just contributed. Now the point comes, if Hiranyagarbha is that, now what is that Hiranyagarbha? So we say Hiranyagarbho Bhagavan Esa Buddhiriti Smrutaha. This is a beautiful verse to remember. Mahaniti Yogeshu Viranchiti Chapyajnaha. So we say Hiranyagarbha is the Lord, and which is called as Samashti Buddhi. I hope you remember. Taijasa Hiranyagarbha in Tattvabodha. Vyashti Sukshma Sarira and Samashti Sukshma Sarira. Do you remember? It is gone, huh? Correct. So they are very nicely being highlighted. So here also same thing. The Hiranyagarbha is called Samashti Buddhi. So that you can use the word total mind, or that is what is being called also. This is called Mahat Tattva by Sankhyas. Some people say Samashti Chittam, and sometimes we say that is called Viranchi Narayanam. And which represents sun, Surya, the other name of. And of course, this is called Ajaha, is not born at all. And in other place also is being highlighted. Hiranyagarbha Jagadantaratma. The Hiranyagarbha is the inner self of this entire universe. So if this is the case, now there are many things to talk. about this. In fact, when you look at in Bhagavad Gita also we have seen already in 6th chapter that how and why all these things to be done. So they are also being highlighted that when we look at this Yoga Shastra is not created by a person. So there is perennial flow. What we say, Pravaha Nityatam, we also highlight. So in short, we give the status of Shastram to Yoga. Can you see this point? That's why Anusasana means in keeping with, not merely system, not in keeping with the teacher or learned person or by wise people, but we say Shastram. So it is to be taught in keeping with Shastram. Can you see this point? Because if we do not look at this aspect, definitely we are going to go wrong. That's why if this is the case, that Atha Yoganushashanam. So now this yoga, what is that? Because now I don't want to take more time on this verse, okay? Then we cannot complete this text at all. So now I want to gloss over. So the second sutra says, please read, Yoga Chitta Vruti Nirodha. Generally, we take this sutra number 2 and 3 together for common people. But also can be taken independently to avoid the confusion. If you ask me, it is better to take the sutra number 2 and 3 together. So we'll see first these two in a brief way if you want to avoid the confusion. Then we can go elaborately independently. But if you take briefly one sutra, definitely there will be misunderstanding. That is what misunderstanding has happened. Can you see this point? Yoga Chitta Vruti Nirodha. Cessation of the mind is called yoga. So that's why to avoid this conflict, let us look at this point. Yoga Chitta Vruti Nirodha. Then the third sutra says, Tada Drashtum Swarupe Drashtada Drashtuhu Swarupe Avasthanam. So if we take these two together, so how to look at, how to interpret, that also we need to look at. As you know, in Sanskrit, wherever the word tada means English then, the word yada comes. Suppose you write a sentence, then automatically already when is there or not? Without when, can then come? Try. That means when presupposes, then presupposes the word when. Tada presupposes the word yada. Now when the sutra number 3 says tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. So then the seer swarupe avasthanam abides within oneself, one's own nature. When? So that when is called, you have to add here, yada yoga यदा चित्तवृत्ति निरोध, यदा चित्तवृत्ति निरोध समये, ड्यूरिंग the cessation of the mind, only the seer abides within one's own self, and that is called yoga. Can you see this point? That is called samadhi. So which is very clearly we saw that the five bhumis, five stages of the mind, the last one is called niruddham. Can you see this point very carefully? So only when the seer abides within one's own self, when I am abiding within one's own self, without any roles, that's why the next sutra will be talking that sarupyam iti atraha. Then only comes yoga. In fact, with this, Yoga Sutra is completed. For Uttama Adhikari, these 3 verses are over. So for transaction's sake, we take 4th verse. Chapter is over. In fact, text is completed. For Manda Madhyam Adhikari, don't worry. Not only Yoga Sutra, some other text, lot of text will keep continuing. So that's why here we have to see seer to abide within one's own self need to be free from all 4 bhumis. Can you see this point? Because me to play the role of a father, a mother, I need a vruti. But to be within myself, to abide within myself, do I need any vruti? Do I need a thought? So that is being highlighted. That is called yoga. If you want to little twist, which is not allowed, but you can twist if you want, putting both the sutras together. Yada drashtu swarupe avasthanam, when the seer abides within one's own self, tada chitta vruti nirodha, all the thoughts drops away, cessation of the thoughts happens, and that is called yoga. Can you see this point? More of it we'll see day after tomorrow.